Pra que fazer as maletas? Somos das borboletas. Alcançamos as metas. Mas semana planeta. Te amo, meu Deus. E mais mais. Te amo, meu Deus. E mais mais. Te amo, meu Deus. E mais mais. Te amo, meu Deus. E
Alrighty, hello. We're back. Um, we're going to talk about the presidential debate that occurred. Okay, they're saying my Wi-Fi keeps going out. I don't know. Put a 1 in the chat if my sound is okay. Hey, William, thanks for coming back. Hello, Sam, I am. William, Sunny B, a.k.a. Sunny D. Thanks again, Sunny D, for your gesture. Hey, Blockspot. Just put a 1 in the chat if my sound is okay. Or else I may have to refresh. Okay, my sound is okay. All right. Oh, okay, Blockspot, no problem. Hello, Twilight here, and Twilight Zone and 99 and Giving Love and Sam I am. Okay, so I'm gonna drop the link real quick. Maybe William wants to talk about it, and then maybe Kwani will come back. Hey, Purple Kitten, Roxanne. All right, let me see. Okay. So, like in the previous broadcast, I gave my thoughts about the whole presidential debate and things like that. So, I think it was an embarrassment for the whole nation to see what occurred and their professionalism. You know, they did not show each other, and then Trump kept cutting them off and things like that. It was just a whole debacle. Hello, Kwani. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
William. Hello, William.
Hello, Sir King.
All right. Hello. So, okay. So let's try not to say. I guess we can't. We can't say.
You gotta say 45.
Right, and it's for the J. I guess we say JB because you can't say that. Yeah.
Good.
Okay. So y'all go ahead. Share what y'all want to share.
So where do we start?
I think where we start at is at the beginning with all those lies and the inconsistencies and the rudeness. Really, a debate is supposed to be, I think, where you listen to a person, they gave them 2 minutes. Even the moderator had spoke, about decorum. You let that person speak for 2 minutes, and then you're supposed to speak 2 minutes. I watched this, and I think about the minute and 15-second mark, the minute and 45-second mark, Trump would interrupt.
45.
45 would interrupt JB. So it's like, okay, this man is not using decorum when it comes to listening to the rules and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There were certain things that were mentioned about voter fraud and how he's scaring people that, this is going to be a rigged election, and the economy which he inherited was already on an upswing. Now, mind you, I didn't like what 44 did before 45, but he did get this country rolling again. And then 45 wants to take credit for all of it. So, and Kwani was talking about why she's don't really trust politicians or politics in general. Well, I kind of agree with you on that, Kwani. But what I'm saying is we should have a say in what goes on in our lives, as far as our living, our health care, and everything else. See what I'm saying?
You're right, but the thing is, the only way to make politicians move in the direction that you want them to move in, you must have money behind it. That was the way that the LGBTQIA was able to move Obama, because they put coins behind that. If there's no money, there's no voice. This is how life works to me. Now, I don't know how you all think life works. This is the way I see life. Money, power, respect. Maybe I see it wrong. That's my perception of life. If there's money behind if there's no money, you get nothing. You have to have dollars behind your politician. If we're not able to bring our dollars together to move a movement, it won't move.
Okay, so what do you say about Black people that are Republicans then?
That's their choice, but there's no money. But they don't have a lot of them don't have money either.
So, do you think that even though they don't have money, do you think they have power?
No, they have no power or respect. They have no money, no power, or the respect. But they're just choosing that because maybe it makes them feel better. But there are some that are Black, that are politicians. That are Republicans. They're Republicans. Right. Yes, but we were Republicans first. Black folks were Republicans before. We were. Before we became Democrats. We started off as Republican.
Well, okay, I would like to ask, well, why did we chose to go Democrat if we were Republican?
I don't. You know what? Now that information I can't answer. I'm not really in depth into politics like that. I've read a few things. I've spoken to a few individuals that are in politics, and some of that stuff I'm still confused. And maybe I'm confused by it. Maybe I'm confused by it because because I'm kind of tapped out because they lie so much. It's too many lies around it. It's too much. It's scandalous. It's salacious. It's too much. It's a lot involved in it. So in some ways I'm kind of tapped out.
So if you did vote, would you call yourself an independent voter?
Yes. Yes, I would. I would.
Okay. Well, see, that's my point, because you said all Black people were Republicans before they turned Democrat. They had to have a reason, and the reason behind that was when Franklin Delano Roosevelt came out with the welfare. That was a Democrat
I can answer
idea.
that question.
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, here is what it is, and here's what they're not telling you. I'm used to all of the propaganda that they've run, and a lot of times when they're saying things like this, they tell you half truths because they're trying to convince you of something. But let me address the first thing. Back in the day and time, like we had 23 Black congressmen, and they were Republican. But the Republican Party back then was the anti-slavery party. And what I mean by that, to be clear, is what we have now as the Democratic Party was the Republican Party. What happened was the Black votes do matter. We do have power. Black people have always had, power when it comes down to voting. And so, because we were able to win, because we had a lot of Black politicians, Hiram Revels, a lot of different Black, congressmen and politicians. We had the power. We were winning on a landslide. Okay, so when they saw this, what they did was it was like a good old switch trickery move. They switched parties to confuse for confusion purposes, but it didn't work because we switched over to Democrat. So basically, it just switched. It's like we're the same. We're the same. Back then, the Democrats were the Republicans. Y'all get
Okay.
it?
Mm-hmm.
I see what you're talking about. So if this is the case in point is, if we were once Republicans, why is it that everybody's saying that black people should vote Democratic? When we
Because
know,
Republic
if we know ourselves in history that we were once Republicans, why didn't we stay Republican?
because we're
That's
only talking about a name change. We're not talking about a party. So let's just look at this. I'm trying to find a way to just simplify it. What is now the Democratic Party
right.
was the Republican Party. So we're still the same affiliation in terms of party. The names just changed.
So they bamboozled us.
Right. Because our votes do matter. Our votes do matter. Let me tell you what 45 did. What they did, what they tried to do, they've been pulling a lot of stunts, and they've been trying to take a lot of our rights away. These past 4 years. They did a men's only map, and they tried to take away. I can't remember the specific amendment, but they tried to take away women's right to vote because
Mm-hmm.
they used the men's only map to determine if that would make the Republicans win. So
Right.
like they were trying to finagle their way around taking away that amendment, and that amendment, and the right for women to vote, because there are more women in terms of numbers than than male.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
they were trying. It was another old trickery. And so presidents are not selected. It's just that, just like for instance, last election, um, Hillary won by a landslide.
Yes, she did.
She won the popular election.
Right.
45 didn't win, but he got
Electoral
the
college.
electoral right. And see, that was something put in place as a trick
Well,
method
trickery.
too.
Yeah,
And
that was trickery. That's trickery as well. That was trickery.
right.
Trickery as well. Sure was.
And see, Hillary's campaign weren't looking at that, whereas Trump's campaign was, they were, because they knew that, he wouldn't win otherwise. So they was looking at, they really was trying to force him in. And so they've been doing a petition to get rid of the electoral college votes. However, it's still in place. But the thing that matters with that as well is we have to fill out our census, because census determines how many states, how many electoral college votes each states get. And a
Right.
lot of times, we don't we haven't actively this year. I see they're pushing it hard. They're really trying, they're pushing it hard. Um, they're even coming around, like I've never seen them come around
You're
like this.
right.
I've never.
You're right because I get text messages daily. My phone is ringing
Mhm.
up the chain about that. Mm-hmm.
And we definitely have to do that, because that determines how many electoral college votes we get. And we have to participate more in politics. We participate in everything else, but we don't participate, enough in politics. And politics is what gives us our rights. Politics is, how, we're going to be able to, gain leverage, and how, we won't continue to be mistreated. Just like, for instance, now the police brutality and things. Like, a lot of people don't know that there's the color of law is still on most books. A lot of these old laws and stuff are still, on these, in terms of the state constitutions
State
and the
constitution.
federal constitution. And a lot of our politicians are not looking at that some of that stuff needs to be removed, and we need a specific anti, anti, hate bill for us as people of color,
Right.
and as well as
As people of different sexuality choices. That's true too. But what I'm saying,
well, yeah, they have that. They have that, but like when it comes down to the one for like that deals with race that will
right,
protect us, it only protects us like when we're in federal places. And so that means like schools, that means like when you go to vote, it doesn't protect you in your home, it doesn't protect you in the average place. It only protects you like when you're in a federal establishment.
okay.
Okay, let me jump in here. HB, you want to say something?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, HB.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was having some issues. I just wanted to jump on because I definitely agree with Kwani about money ruling everything. And I think the conversation we're having is like within the actual systems that exist. And so, Kwani, you're talking about capitalism ruling everything that we do. And when you boil down to it, capitalism does rule everything that we do. But also, like, that's why I've been really paying attention to a lot more progressive thinking and people talking about abolition, people talking about like getting rid of policing and jailing. I've seen there be a significant shift towards those type of ideologies where it's like just rupturing the whole system as opposed to trying to operate within a system that was never meant to benefit poor people, black people, women, gay people. Like we as a majority are trying to operate in a system that is built to serve rich white men. And I think that's
Correct.
where a lot of their frustration comes from. And so people are asking questions like, do black people not matter as much anymore? Or, like, why are we just being discarded or taken for granted? Because JB knows that he can still cater to rich white men and that women, black people, poor people that don't buy into like 45's rhetoric are still going to vote for him because we're operating from a place of desperation. So I just wanted to add to that. Because Kwani, what you were saying, I've been reading a lot about just how capitalism is truly at the root of everything. And if people want to believe it, how white supremacy is at the root of everything. And as long as we keep trying to reform a system that was never meant to serve us, we'll always suffer.
Correct. That's true.
Well, HB, let me ask you this now. Do you think the up and coming younger generations may somewhat bring that notion that you have about a system that wasn't meant to serve us? Maybe they will reverse that since they have a different mindset coming up in a different or growing up in a different generation.
I'll be honest, Sir King. It's difficult for. So I don't know if y'all have ever heard the term of what is it? It's basically like revolutionary imagining. And so in the same way that like many of our ancestors that were enslaved were imagining freedom, and at the time people were saying, no, let's just stay on the plantation, at least like this master is not as bad as the other one or whatever. And liberation at that time seemed like beyond reality. Like, we can never imagine a reality where we're not enslaved. I'm seeing the same thing here where you have people that want to be revolutionary, but because of the realities that they know, their parents knew, their grandparents knew, their great parents knew, it's hard to think about it. So when you think about policing specifically, people cannot see community accountability beyond policing. When you start talking to people that, and I saw in the chat somebody said that Black people are typically conservative, and I would actually agree with that. Outside of racism, Black people are socially very conservative. But when you
Mm-hmm.
start having conversations with people about like what does it mean for there to be a community accountability, independent of policing, people get nervous, people get scared, and there's a lot of thoughts and a lot of chantings and signs and protests, but there's not a lot of plans. And so the world that we're currently operating in is actually concrete. We know this. It works for some, it doesn't work for others. But when you try to be like, what are we going to do without police? What are we going to do with an economic system that works for all? People can envision it all they want to, but if we don't have a concrete plan to put in place, it's difficult to enact. And so I think QI was talking about like Black and brown people, like we engage in all these other things like consumerism with shopping or entertainment, but not in political power. Black people have been systemically disenfranchised from gaining political power. And anybody that wants to do that research can do it, but like it's all by design. So the fact that we're apathetic was because we were literally beaten and killed for trying to exercise that vote. The same type of hesitancy that people have towards medical labs and medicine, because Black people were literally experimented on as if we were like beneath animals. So I do think, Sir King, that the next generation is more revolutionary. But if you look at history, that's always the case. Like most people, they're more progressive than their parents were. I don't think any of that matters if we don't have a plan or elected officials that take seriously the voice and the power of the people and puts it into action.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
But putting okay, we're talking about policing. They're not saying just to get away with police altogether. Do you know how much money each city police department gets? The military weapons they are given to go against the people in the city that they're supposed to be protecting?
No,
I
I
remember.
Can
I
you
remember.
repeat that?
Yes, the funding that the city police officers get, their department gets for like car. Well, they had cars. Now they got. You might as well say they got SUVs. They got military vehicles that they can run to. You know, SWAT teams and all this stuff. Them they used to carry shotguns in their car. Now they got AR-15s. You know, all that money that was funded to the police to help better themselves within the community was more of a military type thing given. They took it as a military type thing because I remember growing up as a child, you would see a policeman walk the beat, as they say, your block. How many people that's under 30, that are over 30, even remember a policeman walking their block, stopping and talking to the neighbors? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Asking people.
If I can add this real quick, because I don't want to talk too much, and I'm Houston bred. I usually come in here on some mess, but like this is actually what I kind of do for work, so I'm being serious. But yeah, so I agree with you, William. I think my frustration is that anytime that the government, and when I say the government, I'm talking about white American government politicians engage with Black people, it's always met with violence. You don't ever see people trying to support the quote unquote Black community by pouring more into education, pouring more into the arts, pouring more into like social services. It's always, how can we be contained? As if we're the population that has a history of violence, like white people. It's just that white people have the power, and like Kwani was saying, the money, the capital, like again, these systems that propel them regardless of their lack of knowledge or talent or skill or intelligence, anything like that. So, William, I guess I am on the younger scale. I don't remember seeing that at all. But again, that's why I offer grace towards Black and brown people when it comes to bucking up against the system, because we have been conditioned to be obedient, whether people want to believe that or not. I mean, that's just the truth. In so
Yeah,
many ways.
but HB is also wrapped into religion.
Yes, I agree. Yes. Yeah. And Kwani, that's why, like, again, I can talk about this stuff for days, but that's why, like, a lot of people that are really critical of Christianity, I get where they're coming from, because Christianity does teach submission, sorry. And not until recently did I start looking at God as a God of righteous anger and a God that really wanted for their people. So a lot of people, especially Black people, are introduced to Christianity as loving your neighbor, be nice, smile, be a punk. And the God that I learned is actually a God that held firm to principles, morals, values, and would flip over tables and would really buck up against people for infringing on those beliefs. And so if that type of Christianity, Kwani, was taught to our people, it will look very different. But we've been taught for so many years to submit, to be the nicer group, to be morally sound, and look where that has gotten us.
Nowhere.
Well, let me chime in for just a minute. I agree with you. I agree with you all when it comes down to not just Christianity, but religion in general. And that's why it was created. Like, if you go back and do like the research, of, pretty much all the religions. It's a form of colonization. So I do agree. And there's a difference between religion and spirituality. And there are other forms of, there are other ways that we have been programmed or indoctrinated as well. Just like the school system, the stuff that we're taught, like we're only taught half truths when it comes down to history. We're not taught a lot of the real great history that we have. Just like you were saying that, like Black people have never been in politics. Yeah, Black people were heavily in politics because there's a difference between the United States and and America. Like when we were America, there were a lot of Black politicians, a lot of
Well,
Black
yeah,
politicians. And
yeah.
once we became the United States of America, then a lot of different things change. And see, that's the thing, we don't know correct history because it hasn't been given to us. The history and the things that we've been taught about ourselves are taught has limited us or made us feel like we're how can I put it,
We're just not
defeated.
getting our just not getting our cake because
Yeah,
Obama really
like we're
wasn't the first
defeated.
Black president.
Like we're defeated because we have a lot more power than we think we do. And because we don't we only rely on what they give us in school. A lot of us don't pick up books and we don't do the extensive research, but a lot of the answers lies in the extensive research, the stuff that they don't tell you and the stuff that they have to dig, that you have to dig for in terms of the actual truths. And so we're left, we're left with a program perspective of politics. We're left with a program perspective of economics. And, and so we're trying to follow a game plan that they gave to us for that purpose. It's like they're limiting our thinking, they're limiting our minds, and then they're limiting our possibilities. So we have to start believing in ourselves for one, because how can, we be, like, how can we be like, melanated people and not feel that we can overcome a lot of things if we learn to work together. How can we believe that believe that we're melanated and great and not start thinking in that way and start working together? Because we need to start like owning more. Like, let's just look at this. I'm trying to be real brief and to paint this picture real quick, because like just like her, I don't want to try to take up a lot of time, but there was a time when we had the Negro League and we were
Yeah,
in power. You know why that stopped? Because we were making, more money. Like we owned our music. Look who owns our music now. We're talking about rap, blues, gospel, zydeco, classical, classical, all of that like was like our music genres. And we were making money off of it. And they came and tricked us. Like pretty much what they said was, okay, we're gonna give you $5,000 for something that they're consistently making residual income off of. We
right.
sell it for cheap and not look at the long term, residuals that come off of the things that we created.
You're right, but
Basketball,
also you have to also understand that religion was tapped into that as well to manipulate us. Also, we thought by
right? I agree.
integrating, you think by integrating with somebody that we can become powerful. If I can live next door to you, if I can work with you, now we're a family. See, we may see as all of us as human beings, but others don't.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me jump in real quick. Roxanne, you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I just want to add a little something, something. I did take a Black History course, but that was so long ago, I forgot half of it. But I can tell you that what happened was during Reconstruction, the the Republican Party would not get behind the civil rights movement, and that's why a lot of the Black folks went over to the Democratic Party. So that was what the switch was about. And the thing is, us as Black people, we need to read more. That's how we get tricked because we just refuse to read. You get a contract, you're just so glad you got a contract that you don't take the time and spend the money to hire a lawyer or hire somebody to take a look at what you signed. So my suggestion is that you read. I used to read a book a day,
Mm-hmm.
and you can really learn a lot if Black folks would just stop and read. I know y'all heard people saying that if you want to hide something from a black person, put it in a
Hide it
book.
in the book. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Facts.
that's true. That's true. We need to read.
And that's our biggest problem. We think we know, but we don't know. Even
But
our
we don't. Right.
politicians, even our politicians or a lot of the people that lead us don't know. Just like they don't, like they're not realizing about the old laws that are still on the books that are giving police the permission permission to do the things that they're doing. They're not realizing that the 3/5 of a human law is still on the
It's still
book.
on the
Still on the
books.
book. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
That's
I've
all
been
I wanted
screaming
to
that.
say, y'all. Good night. Good night.
Yeah, I do.
Can I wanted to respond to something that QI said real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello. Oh, okay. And I want to tell everybody, thanks everybody in the chat for showing me love. Like I said, I usually come out here and be messy. If I've said anything bad about you, I was just kidding. I was just being messy. But anyways, I'm just a little jokey joke. But I wanted to respond to QI. I hear what you're saying, and like again, I don't know how old everybody is. I do think I'm on the younger end, and so I always want to, yield to older people's wisdom, especially when
Hmm.
it comes to serious stuff like this, because I never want to discredit what you all have seen, what you all have endured, and the foundation that you've laid. I think that's really important. But I also get really frustrated when we kind of speak to each other, and each other meaning like black people, from a
Hmm.
like a reprimanding kind of voice, like we need to read more, we need to XYZ. Like I think we're underestimating how dumb a lot of white people are. Like when you think about how far ahead they were, because their ancestors were owning land, like acres and acres and acres of land, and our people were being disenfranchised. And then even after slavery was abolished, like there was then rules that were put in place to further disenfranchise us. And not until very recent history have we even begun to start tying up our shoelaces, when white people have literally ran laps and laps and laps and laps around us. No credit to them or to their talent, but just because of like pure evilness. And so I totally agree. And a lot of times black people, we feel some type of way when somebody starts talking about financial literacy. But what good is financial literacy when, again, there are a multitude of systems that are put in place to hold us in economic jeopardy? And that's not an excuse, but I sometimes I wish that we could be advised with grace, recognizing the history, and also having some sort of empathy, and gentle pushing, because otherwise we're really just black people that are repeating the same rhetoric as white people when it comes to black people, like the whole pull up your bootstraps and all that nonsense. So I just wanted to add that.
You're right. You're
And
right.
I
And
understand.
I've
And I hope
done. I've said it too. You're exactly right.
yeah,
And
and I hope I didn't come off
I've,
that way. I
I've
didn't mean to come off
myself.
that
No,
way.
I've never
QI,
said.
It
definitely
was
not.
funny.
I
QI,
No.
get it.
definitely not.
I get it.
But let me say this, like you were saying, okay. See, here's the like, and the reason that like we say read more, and I don't mean like read like fiction or anything like that. I mean like read more about the stuff that matters, like American politics, American law, and go back way like farther than Columbus, because most if you ask most people who discovered America, they would say Christopher Columbus. But if once you do the real reading and research, you find out that that's untrue. That he didn't make it no farther than Haiti, and that
Hey,
there were black people already here. Black people own land. We don't know this because they painted a certain picture and they showed us the movie Roots. But black people own land, like actually we're indigenous. A lot of black people are indigenous, to America. Black people are indigenous to like every landmass, on the planet. So there were, black people already here before colonization. And, black people owned land and participated. Just look up free people of color in any state or city. And we also had, like, when we look at slavery, we're looking at it from the chattel slavery perspective. But like we also had indentured servitude. there was several different forms of slavery. Besides just the what is it, the transcontinental or trans whatever they call it, the triangular slave system. There were several. Even the Spanish people had a system of slavery, but even before then, and we had indentured servitudes, and there were also black slave masters. So whereas they made us feel as though we weren't like that, like we didn't have an active place or positioning before the United States, because like I'm saying again, there's a difference between America and the United States,
The
which is
states.
just a government or a constitution.
Hmm.
And a lot of the changes came with the United States. A lot of these different things came with the United States, and not everyone. Just like, let me just give you a little quick example. I'm classified as Choctaw American Indian, so I have dual citizenship, which means that and that's only because my mother like signed the birth certificate, and I've been under the United States Constitution. But as well, I have dual citizenship because my tribe is my government. The United States is just a government. It's just
Correct.
a government. It's just a government.
Correct.
So basically we have an indigenous people, if according to the American Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, and all, they have more rights than people know. Like most of the people that you think are the first people here, the Native Americans, are not. They've only been here 20,000 years, and we have our rights. The problem is the old mind tricks. They taught us that we were second, third class citizens, and they erased our history, even though most of our grandparents told us that we were Indian, and therefore we're not knowing that we have rights. And then the natives, they're accepting whatever they get because they know that they're not really supposed to have what they're getting. So I'm saying we have, like, that's why I say we have to really do a lot of research, because a lot of the stuff that we've been taught or told have been lies.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that point. Case in fact, my mother, her family, she's got Blackfoot Indian in her family. My father was originally from Kingston, Jamaica. He came over here in 1905.
And he's Arawak.
Right. So, and now I look at myself, and sometimes I wonder when I was doing my research, should I have been calling myself a black man all these years, or was I a Jamaican? Or was I, part Jamaican and part Indian? You know, but the classification of me has always been a black man. So
And
where
let
Okay,
me
am I?
but
just
okay, but William,
Yes.
you're older than us.
Uh-huh.
What, we were never African Americans.
No, we're not African Americans, period. Period.
no. In fact, Jesse Jackson coined that term by himself
Correct.
without us voting on it in
Right.
1998.
Correct.
Right.
Every 10 years, our classification changed. We were
It
Everything.
changes.
American Indians, then we were Negro, then we were colored, then we were black,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
a lot of people don't even know that. That's what I'm saying. Like we're just like we're working with we don't know enough about this. We like haven't learned enough about how to maneuver
Ourselves.
outside of the system. And then
Right.
there's
Right.
two types of, like, when we say white people, not all white people are the same. You have
Correct.
some people just like us, they just like people consider us, because it's not true that we're meant to be the poorer class of white people forever. And then you
Hmm.
have some people that were came over here because of their bloodline or whatever, and they were the elite. So
Hmm.
that it's the same for them. And I agree with HP. Yes, and a lot of them are ignorant, because only the elite have this knowledge, and the ones that like who take it up on themselves to self-educate, read, and find out ways to do better. Because let's just look at something. They know how to, they know how to beat the laws. Just like, for instance, we're looking at 45. who's, already served, a full term and trying to run for another one. And within the last 5 years, this rich man has only paid $750 in
$50
taxes.
in taxes, right? Considering all the businesses and motels, and well, they haven't really looked into it deep because he was doing business with Russia long before he decided to become president.
His father is Russian. The spelling of their last name, they changed the spelling of their last name.
Correct.
But
Correct.
his father's side, the origin is Russian. So those are his people.
Mm-hmm.
The question I have then regarding the debate, then why didn't Joe Biden hit him back when? Oh, sorry, I should never say that. Why didn't JB hit him back when 45 mentioned about his son? You know.
Well, I can tell you why that is. It hit a core in him. It hit a core.
But this is
his son. He has one son that's died, and he's got another son that. Let's face it, he did have problems with drugs. But there's a lot of families in America that have somebody in their family with problems with drugs.
Okay, but William, I understand all that, but you get prepped for these things. Okay, and if you're going to be the commander in chief, then you first of all don't need to be so transparent. This may sound kind of callous though, but
if you're running for public office, you're going to be transparent anyway.
Wait, but you're not understanding what I'm saying. If you're going to be the commander in chief, first of all, you can't be that transparent where people can see your enemy essentially hit you with a, to your core, where you get somewhat knocked off your game and then not be able to respond back in the way that gets them back.
I don't think he was knocked off his game. I really don't think he was knocked off.
He was, because I would have definitely put that up. Okay, you want to talk about my son? I'm going to talk about your family and your business dealings.
Well, sir, so can I respond to that, Sir King? I think that, I think what 45 has done, first of all, I just think America's getting really exposed, honestly. But I think what 45 has done is he's made politics more theatrical than it even was supposed to be. So I hear what you're saying. You went low, I'm gonna go low too. But I've never seen presidential debates or presidential campaigns composed this way. And I'm really afraid that 45 is ushering in a really much more disingenuous, lie-ridden, embarrassing display that's actually going to have patterns for generations to come. I'm nervous about that. But this is what frustrated me while watching the debate. We're sitting here, and rightfully so, asking questions about why one future president didn't take a hit at another future president's son or family, instead of talking about healthcare, climate change, mass incarceration. That is how superficial that this debate was, and that is how superficial American politics is. Also, look at the two options that we're looking at. We're looking at one senile old white man that's a hard cough away from the coffin, and another senile old white man that's a liar and gets a really bad tan every week and is a reality star. Those are our two options to lead what's allegedly supposed to be the most powerful nation in the world. If that doesn't terrify you, and again, that just shows you how much this system is set up to prop up old white
foolishness.
Rich
This
men.
is foolishness.
Yes, exactly, Kwani. It's when you look at the Democratic candidates, look at the lineup that we had. When you had Kamala, when you had Cory Booker, when you had Elizabeth Warren, all these people, and look at what they all have in common. They're either people of color or women. I just think, to me, that was what was most dispiriting about this debate. I'm looking at them like two old men fighting at a nursing home, and I'm like, one of these men is going to lead this country. It was terrifying.
Well, I agree with you, but I'm looking at the reason I made that comment was they weren't even talking about healthcare either. So I'm looking about.
Why would they care when they have money?
But what I'm trying to say is we shouldn't have been trying to find out who to vote for.
When he's trying to eliminate 44 care.
Y'all bringing up matters they don't even care about. I'm talking about from the aesthetics of things. People are going based on aesthetics, right? So if we're trying to get JB in the White House, he sure as hell didn't help himself by allowing Trump to make him look weak. Or excuse me,
I
45.
don't think he looked. I don't think he looked. I don't think he looked weak. I think it was a personal. That's like personal. Like I think he spoke about that a little bit about that, or a little bit about that has came out before. But I think that like he was thrown off his off a little bit, and I'm glad that he didn't shoot Trump back with the same childish. I mean 45. I'm sorry,
But he told
45.
he told the man to
40,
shut up.
Well, yeah, because like Trump, because like everybody's looking at it like it was the overall debate. No, it was actually Trump. It was actually 45, because every time a question came up, good questions came up, I'm sitting there at the edge of my seat and waiting for a good answer. And Biden goes in, and he's like answering it, and before he can even get his answer out, Trump, but
Yeah, like JB.
and
45. It's gonna be hard, but JB and 45, they already trying to censor my other videos. So JB and 45.
Okay, but have you ever thought about this?
I'll try.
Have you ever thought about this though? All of us have been so dumbed down. We've gotten to a dummy mode. We've been dumbed down. We're dummies. We're moving like robots. Whatever my family did, I will do. I won't venture out to learn anything new. We've been so dumbed down. We don't care about what's happening in somebody else's house. As long as my house is manifesting something, that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We're in a different day. It's sad.
But Sir King, to answer, I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. You're saying that this debate is supposed to put in the best light the two candidates that we have to lead this country. And so the millions of people that are watching, we're supposed to make a decision based upon what we see with this debate. But to Kwani's point, it has been so dumbed down that the debates don't even serve the same purpose that they used to in the past. It's much more entertainment. Like I'm watching people live tweet this, and they're talking about 45's facial expressions. They're talking about Biden's stumbling his words. They're like, we're not even having substantial conversation. Nobody's talking about policy. Nobody's talking about campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's talking about anything concrete. We're talking about nonsense. The same commentary that you see when people watch Real Housewives of Atlanta. And it is so embarrassing. So I think that these debates are honestly, Sir King, more of a formality. People already know who they're going to vote for. If you have a certain type of ideology and you believe protect America at all costs, everybody's dispensable, you're going to vote for 45.
But I agree with you. I agree with you on that. But what about those who are on the fence?
Sir
That's
King,
where
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. 45 is so polarizing as an entity and what he believes and the people that he aligns himself with. If anybody is quote unquote on the fence, they've already made up their mind. It's like you're comparing apples and oranges. Like to me, I just can't see anybody with the 3 years that he's had or 4 years being on the fence. Like that's just me. I
Facts. I agree.
Same here. There is no fence. There is no fence.
No
there is no fence.
Because the right questions came up. It's like, what's going on right now and how many lives were lost. It's like how he's handling, how he handled, the Breonna Taylor, speaking on the Breonna Taylor case, as well as the George Floyd case, with no type of compassion, sensitivity. He had like how, he's had a nonchalant attitude the whole time when he could have prevented and he could have done a lot more. He could have prevented and done a lot more. And his answer is, just like they were saying, when we brought in the military or whatever, his answer is he's like a dictator. And, he's ready. His thing is, what do you say? Law and order. In my opinion, law and order means New World Order.
Yeah. But, and also, he's brought reality TV to this. He's bought that here. I mean, everybody has joined onto it. Mm-hmm. All of us have joined onto this so-called reality show. We're all on a reality show.
No,
And
no.
I'm telling you, that's what's happening. I'm saying nothing but a reality show happening here. Crazy as it is, but it's true.
But Kwani, I think I hear you,
No
Kwani.
money, no money, no power, no respect.
But I think what's sad about this, like honestly, is that like only for a very small percentage of this country, only a very small percentage of this country can afford to look at this and be like and look at it as a reality show. Most of us are looking at this for our livelihood. That's what's terrifying and
Exactly.
really sad.
Yeah,
Like,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
they
honestly,
should, but we right now we're in COVID. So now, so what is what is your livelihood now when you're in the pandemic?
Trying to get somebody in who can relieve the issue, like just like for instance when that question came up, like, well, first of all, I'm not taking any vaccinations. I'm just going to say that out front, period. I don't care who, how long, whatever,
Same
because
here.
I've done the research on that, and I don't really suggest that people do that, because it's like y'all have to notice this stuff is targeting us. So,
Correct.
but like you have a person here who was told that this was happening and how serious it was, and he was like, oh, it's nothing more than a flu, it's not that serious. And then here it is, like so many lives have been lost now, and according to them it's our lives, Black lives. Okay, so and then on top of that, the brutality and all of this other stuff too. And and he's not trying to come up with any concrete solutions. And then here it is now, because they told him that we're going to do mail-in votes because mail-in votes would be safer. And and you can't, and they haven't already rigged the mail-in vote system. Like,
Yes.
most of the voting booths are probably rigged. That, okay, we're going to have a vaccination here in November.
But speaking of the votes, there are women who have been abused, and they're in hiding. Now, how do you protect those individuals
Say that
to
again.
vote?
What do you mean?
There are individuals who have left their husbands or their spouses, men and women who have left their spouses, and now they're in hiding. And how are they going to vote now?
They vote like any other person would vote. Kwani, register.
Well, register them. It's a different. Something else is going on now. There's a different. Something else is happening with that as well.
I mean, what are you talking?
Something else is happening with that as well.
Women who have been abused by their husbands and are up in a shelter or something.
Yeah, the domestic violence that are happening. Yes, and now they have to do some other way of registering themselves to vote. Yes.
Well, and most of those shelters, like for domestic violence, if they're at a shelter, then the shelter is gonna definitely, they have things in place, for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you just because you're in a domestic shelter doesn't strip you of your obligations if you want to vote. They're protected under the law to be able to vote just as well as anybody else is.
Well, I just had somebody sent me that information as well earlier today, asking about this, and they didn't feel safe. Okay.
Well, they need to tell them they need to talk to whoever's at that, the director or whomever is at the place where they are at,
right?
Because they should be assisting them with that.
Okay. All right.
But and if voting wasn't important, see, this is the most important election. This election is our survival, and I mean literally, because if you pay attention to what the Republican Party has on the books for us and what they've done, just tried to do just within these last 4 years, then you will see that they're gonna try to do us in the next 4 years. And a lot of this stuff, like when they were bringing up the protest and everything. Now, like I'm A1 protest, because I'm A1 protest, but the additional stuff and the organizations and things that they were bringing up, a lot of this stuff was put in place. A lot of this stuff was put in place to interrupt the election. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah. To get people's mind off of actually what they really need to be doing instead of listening to what they're saying.
And the census, because like before this happened. Now keep in mind, before this we were talking about impeachment. We were watching an impeachment trial on TV every day, and then there were people out there fighting because like 45 came in and changed the census questionnaire, and it was not fair, and it was going to knock a lot of it was going to greatly affect California, and they were fighting that. So a lot of this stuff was to try to throw some things off, and then we have to understand the whole picture of everything. We have to do the census. We have to you have to do the census, and then you also have to vote for your local politicians as well, because a lot of times we only focus on federal, like the president and things of that nature, but what's more important than the federal is your local politicians, because those are the people who speak on your behalf, and those are the people that represent you. And then as well, you have to put pressure on them. Like other people, they go put pressure on people when things are not right. They're politicians, and especially when they're fresh politicians and they want to be reelected, because they know they have to please their people to get back in there again, or if they want to get elected. We have to put pressure on these people. And then we do have enough money, we're the number one consumers. We just need to get more, we need to go back to like the civil rights era, and get more organized. And one last thing, and I'm gonna shut up. And you was right, Kwani. We gotta start, like Martin Luther King said. He said when he realized what happened, he said, I have integrated us into a burning house. Okay, so we got to start thinking more tribal. We have to start thinking, more collective, and if nothing else, start with our families to own more, because we don't own anything. And then we have our economics is low, but we're the football players, we're the musicians and everything like that, but we're not on because we don't own it. We don't keep the money in our own community. We don't keep the money with us, and we got to learn how to keep the money with us so we can grow economically. So there's a lot of things that we have the power to do, and we can do, and we need to get more serious about doing that, instead of like always trying to go to their job. Create your own job. Then you have the power to hire people, and then you have control of how much, income you bring in yourself.
You're
I
right.
I wanted to respond to something that somebody in the chat said. First of all, I'm happy that y'all blocked that VC Venom person. I really hate when white or non-black people come in and like we're having like serious conversation and they just act dumb. So
Yeah.
whoever blocked that person, thank you. I also wanted to say I've been watching like the beef sector for probably almost as long as you, Kwani. I love the mess. I love it. But I also, y'all, I really like having productive conversations with black people about our existence and our future. So I just want to like thank you, Sir King, for creating the space, and then everybody else in the chat and on the panel for contributing to it as well. But I wanted to point out something that Beef Sector Fading Away Girl said when they said we're already done in, and like how people are saying this is the most important election of our lifetime, and then somebody said that that was said in 2016, and I think it's really important for us to for me to understand that like progress is never satisfied. And so I think what happens is when
Mm-hmm.
more and more atrocities are committed against your community, you become more and more comfortable with pain and suffering. And so
Correct.
it's like we're conditioned to accept what is unacceptable. And I'm really grateful to the revolutionaries and the progressives because they're constantly reminding us this is not okay. Right? Like half our population should not be incarcerated or going to really bad schools, or just being like harassed by the police. Like, I love being reminded that way, because otherwise, somebody said it earlier, we're always just looking to survive, and we shouldn't be looking to survive.
Nobody wants to survive. You want to live.
Right. We want to live. We want to thrive. And I think what makes me really sad is that politicians are okay with giving us less and less and less and less. Because again, with further atrocities committed against us, we adapt, right? And then we figure out, new ways to make it. And so again, I really like the idea that progress is never satisfied. I hate when people say that we are complaining. To me, this isn't complaining. It's collective brainstorming about what we can do for ourselves and for our people. So I just wanted, I thought it was important to name that.
Facts.
No, I agree. The one question I have is, why didn't JB, hold on one second, I gotta bring it up. So when Trump, hold on, I got my notes. Hold on one, sorry, 45. When 45 said that JB, hold on, approved a crime bill that called or somewhat referred to black people as crime predators, JB never pushed back on that claim. I found that very odd.
Because if you look at it, if you went back and look at when that bill was taken, they've got tapes of that. He did not say that. So why should we beat a dead horse when we know the man didn't say it?
But he was very adamant about other things. So why you gonna be? We don't know that. Why don't you? I mean,
I'm telling you. I went back and looked at the archives of Congress when that bill was being passed.
Okay, but you did your due diligence, William. There's countless of people, probably millions of people, watching that debate and seeing that man did not even one time say he didn't say that. And so you sitting there seeing him fight for everything else, but he's not going to fight against that.
He did fight against that.
He did not. He sat there when Trump said that to him and just sat there and took it. As if I was like, okay, maybe he did refer to,
Okay, Sir King, if you know a lie is a lie, would you want to harp on it?
There was a lot of lies thrown there, okay? You know what I mean? And he defended himself in other scenarios, but he did not defend himself in that. I'm just saying it was just odd to me. It was just really odd to me.
Well, I'll tell you, the real
about climate change
is going to be the vice
the whole
debate.
Climate change thing. He was adamant that he didn't approve that whole climate change measure. So why you really defend yourself against something like that? It just kind of.
He could have even brought up the fact that Trump has reversed, or 45 has reversed climate change.
But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the situation of how he referred to black people in that crime bill as super predators.
I mean, because what 45 was saying was the truth. He did do that.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I've heard that numerous of times.
I mean, but this is why JB is not a strong candidate. Like he's impaired. He's mentally impaired, because I think Kwani was saying how she doesn't trust politicians, and I agree, right? But a good politician is able to hear that and spin it and pivot. He just sat there and was like, blah, 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 like stammering. Like, he just told you that you call 14% of the population and a really strong and influential population in America super predators, and he had nothing to say about it. And it makes me question, what did his team help him prep?
Like, that's exactly.
He seemed really shaken by the heckling. He seemed shaken by Donald Trump's demeanor. I mean, sorry, by 45's demeanor, but like, what did they expect? So that's what makes me wonder, like, is he okay? Like,
okay. Yes. So let me stop you there. We all know that these people have the best of the best prep teams, especially when something so critical as at stake here. So who prepped him? Because he did not seem prepared at all. What's going on behind the scenes? Are they taking this seriously? It was just very, very weird.
There's no need to take it seriously. There's no need to take it seriously. None of us take it seriously.
Well, with 45, I'm like, what did y'all expect? Because, like, from what I've seen in terms of his entertainment performance and his theatrics, I mean, we should have already known
But
that,
Q, but
it
QI,
was going to be a childish,
no, QI,
attempt on his behalf.
QI. Come on now. Come on now. These people know, they study the personality of 45 and everything. So for JB to be so shook when 45 went low like that and mentioned JB's son, that was just like, that should have just rolled off his back if he'd been properly prepared. You know, I just.
They're not elected, they're selected.
Well, okay. Well, what I'm saying is, it's like, okay, we're talking about the same person who said that even if he loses the election, that he's not going anywhere.
Correct.
Right. Yeah, he said that. Didn't he say that tonight in so many words?
Yeah, he said that so many words, but there is a constitution. If the election is up like that, the person that's going to take over as president is Speaker of the House. Now, you got constitutional laws. He just can't say he's going to stay there until. No. If you read the bylaws in the Constitution, if there is a problem with the election, the person that's going to be elected as president, sit in as president, while they decide all this crap, is the Speaker of the House, which is Nancy Pelosi.
No, I understand that, and I agree with that. But that wasn't even brought up. The question was, are you going to tell the people that support you to not cause mayhem? And he pretty much was saying, no, I'm not.
No, he did not.
Because that's what he's gonna do. See, like, what people don't realize.
He gave him a signal tonight when he was talking about this. One guy's name, I forgot his name, and he winked his eye and said, "You know what to do." You know the organization he belongs to, don't you?
I didn't hear that part.
He's he's a fascist racist group that he was talking to. The guy
he shouted out that, I'm not gonna say their name, the boys group. He shouted out the boys group. Did you hear that part? That was crazy.
Nah, not if you know 45. Like, we're looking at this like they're on the same team. They're not on the team. They're not on the same team. They're not. And then some people are anti-American. Like what we see going on with Russia and stuff like that, that is true. And it's deeper than what we're even told.
Correct.
And it's been and a lot of this stuff has been in the newspaper forever. And Trump has said a lot of this stuff out of his mouth. So most of the so even like our typical American government, they know that they're at war. They're having to try. It's like they're having to try to get rid of somebody that they know is not going to be easy to get rid of. Yeah. Haven't you seen how many people have been attacked by like racists lately? Like, I'm saying, like, they've been doing all kinds of crazy stuff out here, like all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah. And and there's a reason, and there's an army, like 45 has an army out here already, and they know about it. They know about it. We're talking about somebody who's not playing by, doesn't plan to play, haven't played by the rules ever, doesn't plan to play by the rules ever, and is just focused on what him and his party or his people's interests are, and his people's interest is not his people interest. Like, for instance, like, you got to look at a Russian takeover. We're like, why is Russia? Has anybody ever asked why is Russia so interested in American politics?
Mm-hmm. Right, I agree.
You're right.
I agree. No, I totally agree with you. It's too coincidental.
And right now, the United States, a lot of people don't know it. They're going over into Grenada in South America.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Building a military base.
Yes, they are.
Why? Because there's oil in Grenada. And Argentina wants part of it. And Argentina and the United States is mad with Argentina for allowing all them people to come up through Mexico when he had that riffraff with Mexico from Argentina into the United States. And if you notice, we, as far as allies go, we done lost a lot of allies, a lot of people in different countries that would have backed us on anything. But this foolishness that Trump's doing and talking about, you don't hardly hear them say anything about him. You got to watch BBC and you'll see the difference.
Correct.
QI,
Well, I watched the.
Sorry, go ahead, Kwani.
I'm sorry. I was just answering them. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, I just wanted to respond to something that QI said. I agree with you that JB and 45 are not on the same team, but I'm gonna be honest, y'all, and this is not gonna be a popular thought. I'm just gonna say it though. I do think that they are both working to protect white supremacy. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I say that because JB is actually like very centrist. He's not left at all. He actually feels like he has the left in the bag, and he's trying to do a lot to pull moderate Republicans and independent voters. I'm gonna just be honest about that. And it was very clear to me when he like today he was talking about law enforcement, and he tried to point out to 45 actually wants to pull funding from law enforcement, not him. He said that we need to pour more resources into law enforcement. Also, did y'all hear the way they were talking about preserving the suburbs? Like I was disgusted at that.
Yeah,
point.
but may I interject?
Of course.
And this is the reason why I said I will not be voting. I see a snake with two heads, a two-headed snake.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm voting for the same. I'm voting for the same person with just different point of views, which is really the same point of views, just rationalized doing different words and verbiage to me. No.
Well, yeah, I got you. But see, here we go again. This is why, like when we were talking about, we got to research and we got to read, and when we know the correct or the truth about history, then we understand that the whole world is tribal, as we should be. See, the problem, like, while like we basically what we really need to be focused on doing this election is voting for the least of the evil. But then we need to be getting ourselves together. We need to we need to think like them. You see how they're working together to, preserve, to keep their, themselves on top. Then, we need to be working together. We need to be working together to put ourselves on top. We don't. And just like a lot of people complain about the Latinos, but
okay,
the Latinos.
But QI, may I ask this question? As long as it took for them to break us down, do you think it would take us this long to bring us back up?
Exactly.
No.
Kwani, exactly.
I don't think it would take us that long.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that it took us many and many years, 400 plus years to break us down. Would it need for us to take 400 plus years to bring us back up?
No,
and then technology is changing and shifting daily. It's changing and shifting daily.
Mm-hmm.
Are we willing to do it? Are we willing to learn? Are we willing to
That's
try?
our problem. That's our problem. That's our and like HB. So I'm gonna try to say this in a way, because I've been trying to get this point across a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot, and and find a way to get it across. Mm-hmm. Like where we have to go back to let's look at Black Wall Street. We mm-hmm. have to go back to that mentality, and we had more than Black Wall Street, and we still have a lot of all Black cities and towns. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We have to go back to that mentality, and so we have to get our people to the point where we stop, because a lot of what has been done to us is self-hatred, and that's why I talk about self-hatred all the time. And it's getting worse by the moment, because we're getting to the point more and more where we can't trust each other.
But it didn't start with us. But it didn't start with us.
And we're divine. Even our families.
It didn't start with us. We didn't start this with us.
We didn't, but we're the only ones. See, like, we're always reaching out to other people thinking that they're going to fix our problems. We're going to fix our problems. We are going to be able to save us.
Okay, but QI, so I have a couple of thoughts, but QI, like racism is not black people's problem. Like we're receiving the symptoms of it, but white people created racism. Like, and so
Right.
I don't see black people as some kind of collective that's like all of us are like reaching out to white people like help us, massa, help us. What I see nowadays is black people holding white people in power and white people like their peers accountable
I
for
like that. And I like
yeah,
that. That's a
yeah.
step
Well,
forward.
yeah,
That's a
let's
step forward. I'm
for
with you
their
on
for
that.
their for their microaggressions and for the ways that they have benefited from the systems that again plague us years upon year upon year. But what I will say is this is what makes me nervous about a character like JB. And we are comfortable. That's the issue. And when you give people crumbs, they're not as hungry. I'll say that. Right. And so I say
Correct.
when we get
Oh, I
crumbs,
see what you're saying.
yeah. So when we get crumbs, we forget that we're starving. And that's what's been happening. So ever since integration, I think the collective black community has been made to feel more and more comfortable. And we're forgetting about how badly these policies are against us. And you have stuff like COVID-19 that's like pointing it out. Like, so any type of epidemic, any type of plague that hits this country, black and brown people, poor people are going to suffer the worst because we have less access to resources. And overall, just like racism plagues us the worst. And I lastly wanted to say, I heard somebody said this and I thought it was really profound. They said, if you're voting for the lesser of two evils, that means that you're okay with evil. And I think
Well,
that's
no,
well,
we
let
have
me
to
finish. Let me finish.
okay. Okay.
I think that's a profound statement, but I also think it's unfair because it's like, what are we supposed to do? Like people are feeling helpless, and again, I respect people's stance like Kwani. That's like I'm not going to vote at all. But for people that are trying to find some way out of this, at least out of 45's reign, I don't blame people for going with JB because they're like, at least within this current system, this is how I can alleviate my issues.
I understand it.
And we
I
need
understand,
time. It's like we need
but it's
time.
only. But I see it as only as I see it as a band aid. If it makes them feel good, do it. If it makes you feel good, do it. Put a band aid on it. A scab will
Well,
come on, and if you keep picking at the scab, you're gonna keep getting another scab. You let
and
it
we're
heal,
buying
it'll heal. But you got
right,
to want to heal. Some of
right.
us don't want to heal.
That and we're the problem. We I mean, and I'm not beating my people up. I try to we gotta learn, we gotta each one teach one. And like just like if we go back into history, just like in the 30s when they had the Great Depression, you know, like I know because my grandparents told me, and my community still works that way, where we all like if one family went without food, every family in the community pitched in. You know, like if somebody had well water, then, you know, like that's where you go for your well water. You would trade that for the tomatoes. Then you would trade, you know, so we have to go,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we have to go back to that frame of thinking where we learn how to, you know, like, you know, barter and trade amongst ourselves and work together amongst ourselves.
Bills, right.
But do you think that that's able to happen now with
It's
all
up
this technology, with all of the things that are happening? When
It
do you
could
think
it
that
could
can ever
happen,
happen
Connie.
again?
It could happen,
Yeah,
Connie,
I
if
do.
people would put their hearts and soul into it and mean it. You know,
Do
you
you
just
think
don't
that?
sit.
But are we
It,
ready for it? Are we ready to do this? Are we
Well, let me
capable
tell you,
and ready? Are we capable and ready to grow our own fruits and vegetables? Are we ready
yep.
to stop living off of them and live for ourselves? Are we ready for this? We can't say that we're ready and we're not. Are we ready?
well, that's
Yeah,
what I'm
and then
saying.
not everybody is meant to make it. Not
So,
everybody is meant to make it.
and Jay Dunn, you're right. Well, not Jay. I'm sorry, Jay Dunn. Sorry, Jay Dunn. Sorry.
QI.
QI. Are we ready? I know that everybody's not going to be willing to make it. I understand that. But are we willing to leave the folks that we love behind who are not reachable? You have to
Well,
ask
some
yourself
people,
that. You have to question that. For the
well, some,
ones that you love, the ones you
mhm.
love, the one you lay in the bed with at night, your children, your parents, the ones you love,
So,
the
what do you
ones.
mean by not reachable,
Are you
Connie?
willing to leave them behind? QI? Are you willing to leave them behind?
Well, let me just say this. Within my family, like we've had land for a long time, over 100 years, in my, my family, they, like they've always done their own farming and things of that nature. Now, like what happened was, people started integrating into their system, going to school, trying to get that good instant job and get that good money and stuff like that. And we forgot to come back, and like a lot of families, they forgot to come back to their own. We forgot to come back to our own, business, come back and help the family. Just like back in the day, like during segregation, we owned everything. We owned our own grocery
Yes,
stores.
well, but I'm asking you, not your family. I'm asking
Right, I'm
you,
about to
QI.
tell you. So we've already,
Are you willing to leave your loved ones behind? Who not willing to move?
and
If they're not willing to move forward, are you willing to leave them behind?
within my family, we've already been working on that, and we already know it's like you give the weak links a chance. But if they are not willing to get it together, then like everybody can't go down for the weaklings. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. Correct. Everybody will not be able to fit on the boat. Sure will not. Surely won't. Surely
And
won't.
then everybody needs to start with
Everybody
family.
will not take a ride for free. You will
And
not take a
everybody
ride
needs
for free. When I've been working.
Well, Kwani, if
Yes.
you're working and they're not doing anything, do you think they're owed anything?
They're not owed anything. If they're not moving the way I want to move, goodbye.
Goodbye. There you go. So you got your answer.
Includes my children and my husband.
So
you hear me?
Got your answer.
That's me. But I'm asking QI. Majority of us are so afraid of separating ourselves from our family because we're so convicted about if we do this, that, and the third. We're so tapped into the religion. We've added religion to our lives. We think if we don't save folks, we're going to damnation.
No,
I'm not religious.
No, neither. The book said God helps those that help themselves. If you don't want to help yourself, don't expect me to do it.
Common sense.
But that's how I was raised. I've been bounced around in many churches. Many.
So then
and every denomination I've been in. If you don't do this, you're going to hell.
No.
Everything is about hell. Everything's about hell and burning. Burning in hell for eternity.
Connie, you make your heaven and hell right here on earth as you're living. You make your own heaven or hell right here on earth.
But
nobody knows where we're going to go.
But William, I know that now. But I'm just telling you, I bounce, plop, 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 like a little old rabbit popping around, trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And I just understand it. I never understood all these religions. I'm saying to myself, they're all saying the same exact thing, but twisted. It's a twisted view of it, but it's the same exact thing. So I tapped that and said, you know what? Let me just sit back and learn on my own. How about this could be my heaven or hell on earth? I mean, you understand what I'm saying?
It is. Simple as that. Because number one, when a person dies, they can't come back and tell you, well, there is a heaven or there is a hell.
Exactly.
So what are you going to do about it?
You're exactly correct.
You do what makes you feel comfortable here. And if you
know it's wrong
or treat a person wrong, if you know it's wrong to murder, kill, ostracize people while you're living, you shouldn't have to worry about hell if you don't do those things.
You're exactly correct.
There are people here that do that. So we can't let our minds roll like you're trying to save the world. You cannot save the world. You can only save yourself.
You're right. You're exactly correct. You're correct.
I think back to what I thought Kwani was saying originally was and I think Tink pointed this out in the chat. Like we can do all this talking that we want to, but unless people are willing to like lose their houses, lose their properties, lose their lives we're gonna be hamsters on a wheel, honestly. And when we're
Right.
in history class, we sit and we romanticize and we praise these people that led these revolutions, whether it's the American Revolution, whether it's the Haitian Revolution. But we
Mhm.
ourselves are scared. A lot of us are scared. A lot of us are operating in fear, and we're not really ready to lead any kind of revolution in any kind of way. And so, QI, I think in order for something to be built, especially in this country, something has to be torn down. And I don't see that happening in my generation, in my lifetime, because
And
again, a lot of it is
and
we're
of course
comfortable.
mine, it will not happen in my lifetime.
Right.
No,
Because
Well,
we're
if
comfortable.
I see a lot of fear. I see a lot of fear going on.
Yeah, and
well,
Kwani,
if you don't,
what I'll say is recently I have seen a lot more rhetoric, and it does come from younger people, like people in their 20s, 30s, that they sound like they will be ready to die,
But
but
they're
you don't
not.
really know.
They're
Yeah, you
not.
don't really
They're
know
not
until
right.
that
They're
time
not ready to
comes.
die. They're not.
and we don't have like they don't realize that we like because I came from the conscious community, so I've heard all of this before. You know what I mean? And one of the things we don't have the kind of ammunition or weaponry or anything to be out here talking about, physical fighting. So the
Right.
fighting ain't because we in our well, like I'm not religious. I look at the allegory of lessons and stuff. Okay, so when you say Armageddon, that's a mental and a spiritual thing. Okay, so like mentally and spiritually. And let me give you an example. Just like, like one of the things that binds people is paying their electric bill. But if you go and we start looking more into getting back more into science and different things, we'll be more in control. Just like even what's going on now. It's a simple fix to it. And, really a lot of people can do it from home and prevent it from home.
Right.
If we went back to our grandparents' way of thinking with the herbs and the different things that you take for this and that we got away from, that we taught other people.
And
We
even
need
with
to get
technology, you can put up what they call them sun panels and store your own electricity.
well, you can if you learn how to build a conductor, you stick one end of the conductor into the ground because the ground itself, the dirt, produces energy.
The energy, yeah, yeah.
And it's simple, and they got us convinced that we need their energy, but energy can be free. Tesla tried to make energy free. But the same 45's family, it was 45's family. I think his name is Joe or something like that, uncle of his, that,
But QI, are you ready to do that?
I'm already working on that.
Are you ready to do that? You have the resources behind it. You have the money behind it. You have people that are willing to
Quantity.
promote
A
it.
lot of things don't take money.
Within my family, we're already doing that. And that's why I say, start, if it and then we look at, so when we're talking about unity, that's another thing I realized. It's impossible to think that we're just going to get everybody, all of us, to come together at once. No, we have to start working in small cells. And what I mean by that is you work with your family, then your community,
Okay.
and then you build on. And if everybody does that, if the majority of people do that, we'll get somewhere.
Okay, well, QI, how do I get involved? If I'm not part of your community, I'm not part of your family, I'm not a part of that. How do I get involved?
Start with yourself first.
How am I able to support you?
You start with yourself first, Quani. You support yourself first. You go out there and build that garden and put it in the yard and put them greens in it. You put them potatoes on the ground. You grow them.
You teach your children.
You teach your children how to do it.
And your grandchildren. You pass that torch like we used to do.
Okay.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Crystal King, you have something to say?
Hi, Sir King.
Hey,
hi, Mr. Carruthers and Kwani and Housebread and QI.
Hello, Crystal.
I was watching this debate and it just literally made me sick to my stomach. It does not make sense how he is allowed to act and be as ignorant and bullyish as he did. During this debate, he was talking over the commentator and he was talking over Joe. And yes, Joe looked like he wasn't really feeling that good. He moving kind of slow, but I think Joe has a plan. Joe is someone we can work with. 45, he has no intention on bending. If he can get him a rally before this next debate, that's what he needs to energize. He has to be around yes people. He has to. He doesn't want to be challenged. The systemic racism goes deep in his family. Actually, remember when his father had properties and they would put like asterisks besides black people's names, so when they looked at the application, they could see whether if they were black or not.
True.
How he made most of his fortune off of bankruptcies. You talk about the hood and food stamps and all that kind of stuff, but that money goes up. That money doesn't come down. So we do look to our black businesses, and we do talk to our children and our children's children about unifying and being, generational wealth. But I was really, really surprised at how he slipped through the cracks of the black churches. I was very surprised how that came about. I mean, the things that he's doing and saying and stuff I heard about when I was a child. And I'm actually seeing a lot of these things come in the past. No, if it could have been another candidate besides Joe, maybe it would have been different. But we got Joe, and we got to let him know that we got his back. Now, I'm not saying any politicians are perfect, but this man is willing to listen. He's more down to earth. Okay. We know more about something, about making $1 out of 15 cents. He's going to say, make a what? But no, we need someone we can relate to from Scranton. And he talked about how his family came, up, and they did the best that they could with what they had. That's what I can relate to, president.
Right.
If you're making the best of what you have, if it was any of my people that had died from that COVID, okay, I would have been so insulted and felt so disrespected. The way he's talking about, more people could have died, but only these amount of people died. And I was only being sarcastic when I was talking about injecting bleach. No, you're being an a-hole, a number one a-hole, and you're the leader of the free world, and you're kissing up to dictators. I don't get it. This is not. He wants a dictatorship. He doesn't want a democracy. And when you have narcissism that deep rooted in you, and you don't have no for an answer, got the nerve to talk about somebody being smart. I got the book, buddy. They were taking your test for you, and it doesn't matter if he's right or wrong. That's his opinion. Every time the commentator talked or the reporter talks, he'd throw his hands up like, "Shut up! I'm talking." Quiet. Hey, I'm not talking to you. No, absolutely not.
And if you research the Trump the 45 family, then you're going to find, just like the niece, I think the niece just came out with a book and she spilled a lot of hot tea. And then if you research even farther back, the father was called the snake oil salesman, during the Industrial Revolution. So you have, like, when you research the 45 family, you'll see exactly like what type of people that we're, what type of, person we're dealing with. And that's why I can't believe that, like, if they knew, just like, some people are for, the Nazi and the Aryan people, and if you know anything about the history of them, then you know what he's up there saying. So how can anybody with my hue and my melanin, with this carbon 16 that I have within me that makes me powerful, even stand behind that? And then we need to start being more like confident
proactive
within ourselves. Like, that's the problem. Like, a lot of it is us. We got to fix us. We got to start being more, we got to teach confidence. We got to, uplift each other, because, like, I'm not religious, but I do believe in a higher power. And, according to all the knowledge that I've received from my higher power, we, like we were given everything to be supreme beings. We just gotta, like they say, have faith. We gotta, either you believe or you don't.
He's extremely disrespectful and has no regard for the Constitution. You tear gas peaceful protesters. And you're standing in front of a church that you never hardly ever went to, maybe once or twice, with the Bible upside down. I mean, you are an idiot. I mean, the Bible is upside down. And the other thing I learned about their family, pardon me?
I'm about to hop off. I'm about to hop off. I want to thank y'all for the conversation. I appreciate it, Sir King. And bye, everybody.
All right.
Thank you, love.
Thank you so much, Houston.
All right.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, I'm just rambling on. But the other thing that I learned about their family was his mother. His mother was not a fan of her own child. Okay, talking about how dangerous he is and who we have put in charge of the country. I mean, wow. Did anybody catch that?
Okay,
Well, yeah, his
his
entire family.
I see the Constitution doesn't mean anything without money behind it.
His entire.
See, this is how, but see, this is that, but see, that's the smoke screen. Okay, that's the smoke screen. I ain't really got no money.
It's not
I don't know.
How is it a smoke screen? How is it a smoke screen?
Because
I'm about to explain it.
He was able to borrow money, Kwani, that you and I can't go out and do every day.
Okay, well, okay, but we don't stick together. Okay, I don't get it. You are asking for apples and getting oranges.
Okay, we could use those analogies, and they could be true or based on someone's opinion, not trying to be disrespectful. The reason why I said smoke screen is because when you don't have much, you think you can't do much. And that's absolutely not true. With all the money and powerful.
It is incorrect. Exactly what you're saying. When people think they don't have anything, they won't give anything.
No, I disagree on that one because I know I don't have anything.
But you must teach them.
What I said was,
but you must teach. But you must teach it.
What I said was,
all of us here. Are you going back to your are you going back to these communities, humble communities, and telling them they're worthy, they're deserving, they're better than, they got better? Are any of you all doing that?
I do that all the time.
What I'm telling you is what I do. I don't want my children or my children's children to stop trying and elevate themselves, but I don't want you to think because you're not the top 1% that you don't have a voice. Yes, you do. You have been shown by your ancestors, your mother, your father, your grandfather, how to make it. We've been surviving through this presidency.
You don't want to be surviving. You don't want to be surviving. Crystal, you don't want to be surviving. You want to be living.
I said I don't want to. What I'm trying to tell you is there's a change. We have to make that change. And what I meant
are you the one who just only care about your family and no one else's?
Why would you say that?
I'm asking a question. I'm not saying that. I'm asking, are you only a replica of your family? Of your family, your nucleus?
No, I'm not.
Are you going out into the neighborhoods, into your neighborhood and other neighborhoods, showing that you care, showing that they can have better, teaching them, showing them where they can go for resources?
Yes, I have.
Teach one.
And yes, I have too. I've even tried to do that on my own channel, but just like in this sector, whenever, like whenever you speak about, stuff that's meaningful and could help us in survival, people are not interested. They're interested in QI.
But QI, that's your issue.
I don't understand.
You should still speak.
Oh, I'm still speaking.
You don't allow people to shut you down. If you're giving out good knowledge, if you're being your authentic self, why does she have
to be shut down though?
I'm not shut down. I'm just working in a different area.
But listen, you're not listening. Please listen. Please.
Okay.
If people are gonna come against you, leave them by the wayside. Save who you can save. Love who you can love. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Save who you can save, love who you can love. Don't worry about the negativity. You're gonna always get negativity when there's a positive energy coming through the room. When you're the baddest chick walking through the room, you're gonna always get somebody who say, I thought I looked better than her, but darn, she looked better than me. Leave that by the wayside. Still teach us. Still teach us. I still need lesson. Crystal King, I still need lesson. QIFM, I still need lesson. Teach me.
I'm still giving them. I'm just working in a whole different area of social media, right? Like I'm trying to spread out right now, because right now, like I'm basically out here, campaigning for the election.
Right.
So I'm going in those places. I'm going into those places where, I feel that I could be more effective at this moment.
And what I am doing to help besides my family, not just focused on my family, is I'm advocating for felons voting rights. There are a lot of felons who don't think that they can vote because they are felons, and that is not true. There are stipulations and there are requirements, but you can't wait until the last minute to do that. That's a passionate thing for me, because I know a lot of people who just did not vote in the last election, and I want to know why. Well, because I got a felony. That's no reason not to vote. It's as simple as a Google search, and you could see, what the requirements are for your state. There are some states that you can vote while you're incarcerated. Not many, but then there are states that will allow you to vote on parole. They will allow you to vote on probation, or they will not allow you to vote until those things are up. But the requirements are steady changing, just like those backdoor laws that they're trying to, get in, that we don't know that they're doing, but we're finding out what they're doing behind the scenes. We got to come together as a people and find out, ask questions.
And we must also teach people. If
there's and that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
A lot of people don't know a lot of people don't know nothing.
Well, but you know what? I don't mean no harm, Kwani, but it sounds like, when someone comes up with something that's positive or trying to, it just sounds like you're not against that, but your rebuttal, I don't understand what your rebuttal is.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Huh?
I'm sorry that you feel that way. I'm sorry that you feel that way about me.
You said reach one, teach one. Okay.
Did I say something wrong, Kwani?
No.
I just said I don't know what your rebuttal is.
My rebuttal is that you're saying that there are individuals don't know that they can vote when they've been incarcerated. But if they're not reading books, they don't have the knowledge, the power for it, they don't know.
So she's out there teaching them and reaching them to let them know that they can do that.
You don't need a high school. You don't need a high school diploma to vote. Okay, that's not a requirement.
No, you don't.
And what is it? As long as you don't have a violent crime?
Yeah. It doesn't specify that. It doesn't specify that. If
break it down to, if you don't mind, can you break it down?
Absolutely not. Quick? Absolutely not. I will. If you have paid your debt to society, okay. Now it's according to what your felony is. Now I did read last year where they were trying to say that the requirements were you could not have a felony for treason. And I don't know many people who have felonies for treason, but okay, say you robbed a bank or check fraud or whatever, domestic violence. That doesn't mean you can't vote if you meet the requirements. It's the last minute stuff that trips us up, and I say us for a reason. I'm not. It's nothing other than how I speak. I need my birth certificate. It's way in Louisiana. I'm over here in Pennsylvania. My mom says she's going to send it. No, I've been trying to prepare, for this moment right here for quite some time. Let's work on getting those things together. We should already have our birth certificates, our social security cards, and our photo ID, even if it's not a driver's license. And there's another thing I wanted to point out. It's called the Real ID. Now, I had that. I did a video on that as well. Now, what they're doing, I think October 20th, I believe, I'm not mistaken, we have to have our IDs up to date. Now, some people have them up to date automatically.
You would not be able to travel anywhere.
Right. But we have to have it up to date. Now, they have something called the Real ID. You don't have to have a Real ID to vote, but you do need a valid ID with the address to match your ID. Mm-hmm. Now, all your requirements are already there if you have the ID, the social security card, the birth certificate, etc. Now, I went to go renew my ID, and it had a big thing up there that said Real ID, and it was like $30, something like that. So I'm going up there for that. I have everything I need, but because I'm widowed, I didn't know they needed my marriage license. So I paid them extra. The Real ID comes with a gold star. So I said, okay, so do I have to have a Real ID to vote? Can I just update my ID and I'll be okay? She said, yeah, you could just, I said, well, why do you have this big sign up here? It's misleading. When they walk into the DMV, they think they have to have that max of money and they can go ahead and have their ID straight. And if they come back, before time to vote, they can still add that onto their ID. Now, without that star on your ID, you're not allowed in certain federal buildings or like a base or something like a base or something like that. You're not permitted to enter if you don't have a gold star on there. Now, also, you cannot take commercial flights or international flights. Correct. If you don't have the Real ID. So seriously, guys, it's just something as small as that. You can vote if it doesn't have the star on it, but make sure that you get that pamphlet, because I'm from Pennsylvania. Make sure that you get that pamphlet. Make sure you understand how much it costs so you don't overpay them like I did, where they had to mail me my money back. It took them a couple of minutes to take my money and 8 weeks to get back the remainder. So I'm doing my best, Kwani. I really am. I don't like to, tell people what they should do or whatever, but I just hope and pray that maybe there's something I can say or something I can do, that will spark someone to say, you know what, I wasn't going to vote, but I am now, regardless of the reason.
Yes, ma'am. I get
it. A lot of people did not vote. And that's a reason why things went the way they did. Nobody expected 45 to win. They thought it was a joke. They didn't expect him to win.
My thing with you, you're very knowledgeable, and I need for you to speak out more. You're very knowledgeable, and I would like for you to speak out more. You're very knowledgeable, and I would like for you to speak out more.
Oh, thank you.
You have a great voice, and you have the knowledge and the wisdom, and I want you to speak out more.
Yeah, it's on my channel. My channel is really not like a popping channel. It's just like, different things I think about and talk about. But this is one of my passions.
But the thing is, you're knowledgeable. You're knowledgeable. The knowledgeable ones are the ones that need to speak out.
Which is why I admire QI so much.
You have to teach. You must.
I like you too, and I like the HB. I like HB as well, and Mr. Carruthers. And Sir King is intelligent as well. But I wanted to throw this in here real quick about the voting. You still have like 20 days, and you need to make sure you're still registered. Like especially if you didn't vote in the last election, make sure and you can do it online. So like. Go online, and you still have like about 20 more days, I believe.
And also, when you go on Instagram, the first thing they show is my name on Instagram and making sure that I'm registered. hey, you got to get the message out somehow, and they gonna go on Instagram. So, I mean, and it's as simple as a Google search. A lot of people is going through a lot of negative stuff to get people's information. Let's go dig up on this stuff. Let's get this information. Okay.
Correct. But
yeah,
you're very
I wasn't
knowledgeable.
trying to take over or nothing like that, but I was burning up.
Hold on 1 second. So tell people that are listening or who may listen on the replay where they need to go if they want to vote or register to vote or any other information you care to share.
What you can do is, I think it's so much easier for people who are not really used to doing that. So I just talk about the simplest form first. All you have to do is go on your Google and put in there how to register to vote. Am I still registered to vote? Something like that. Very simple. And then it'll pop up and it will give you directives to go to exactly what it is you want to know. I mean, some things it seems simplistic, but it's really not if you kind of like shut down with that kind of stuff. I don't like doing the techie stuff. I don't like all that. I take my camera, I point it, and I talk. But I do have let me see. Shucks. I don't have it with me. But you can go online. Is it vote.org?
And you could go and you could just put in register to vote in your city and your county or parish or whatever you call it.
But one thing, make sure that you have fulfilled the requirements to vote. Your rights can be reinstated. You know how they say when you go to jail, whatever, you don't have no rights no more. You're this, you're property of the state. Well, when I paid my debt to society and I've done what I need to do, I have my rights back and I can make sure that I'm registered to vote. You may have to register again. It only takes a couple of minutes. And you don't have to have a driver's license. You can have a non-driver's license, which has your picture on it and it has your address.
A state ID.
Yes. See, I'm from Philly, and that's what we say, non-driver's state ID. I don't want to mislead anybody. A state ID,
Right.
So
you don't have to have a driver. As long as you got a state ID, you can register to vote.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And people, people think, some people think that, okay, I got a felony and I'm getting ready to vote, but I got a warrant. Warrants have nothing to do with it. They have nothing to do with it. Just stand there and just go to the poll and vote, or do it the mail-in vote. I choose not to, but I don't deter anyone not to vote if that's the choice that they choose to make. But yeah, nobody can come up to you and say, "Oh, I got a warrant for your arrest." You're trying to vote.
And then most like if and that's another thing we have to consider too. There are a lot of seniors out here. And for the seniors, they they're offering special days and different things of that nature. So if some seniors out here, y'all help them help them to vote. Because it's like right now, they're probably not sure how they're going to go about doing things.
Oh, thank you for that, Sir King. Absolutely. And what they're also doing is some people provide rides to the polls, and that's good. If that's I would take someone with me to do that. That's one alternative if you can't get to your polling place. Another thing is these polling places are being changed, but they're not talking about it as much as they are implying that these mail-in votes will be fraud. So make sure that your polling place is the same place that you had before, or find out where it's been changed to.
And that's what makes it very aggravating for individuals, because they don't know who to trust.
Right.
It really does. Right. You don't know who to trust. And when you lose trust in individuals, you tap out. You know that? You tap out when you don't trust.
Absolutely. But I feel that as I believe that if we work together before that day comes, then we won't have to scramble, because see, that's expected as well. Last minute stuff. Oh, I was going to do it and I couldn't find my social security card. You should have that on you, period.
And
You're a
make sure
grown
you
adult.
find out if you're going to go in person, make sure you check ahead of time to make sure you go to the right precinct the right place or precinct, because they'll switch that around on you. They'll say, well,
Excuse me, I'm
you're
sorry.
supposed to be over here. You'll go one. That has happened to me before, where I went to one place and they told me I was supposed to be in another.
Exactly. And I'm telling you, I used to vote in my pajamas because all I had to do was get in the elevator and go downstairs and stand there. But now it's not there anymore. Now you have to ride out to get it. So I'm like, okay, I'm down.
And I heard that they're also opening up a lot of places, because I think a lot of businesses and stuff, I think it's, a shoe store? One of them shoe stores, like the popular sneakers places, is allowing, their locations to be used for voting.
What, like models and stuff like that?
Is it Foot Locker? I think it's Foot Locker.
Foot Locker. Foot Locker. Okay. Yeah. I can't think of anything else right now except that, we just got to keep talking about it. And in order for you to be about it, you got to vote. And you have people who are very influential, and they're saying that they're not going to vote. And then the people that follow them is not using their own mind.
So you think I'm a bad person? So how do you feel about me, Crystal? I'm not in the voting mood.
Okay. Well, how do I feel? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Crystal.
How do you feel about me? It's Kwani.
I think you Kwani. I think you're Kwani. But
no,
I know.
No.
Okay.
How do you feel about me?
Okay. I believe, in my opinion, that your vote could make the difference. They say that every year, and they're going to, not every year, every 4 years, and they're going to say it again, but I believe that. I believe that your vote makes a difference, and whoever gets your vote after you said that you're not going to vote, they're going to earn it. They're going to earn it if they get your vote. And I have a funny feeling that you're going to change your mind before election day. If you don't, it's okay. But I have a funny feeling that it's going to change, because myself, I can't even fathom not voting in this election at all. I just couldn't. Right. But I respect you. I respect you, Kwani, and I respect your opinion. And a lot of times, when opinions are not always equally, we don't always agree on a lot of things. You're still open for dialogue. You're still asking questions, and you're speaking for a lot of people who have decided not to vote. They hear themselves. Not only do they hear themselves in me, Sir King, Mr. Crothers, and QI, they hear themselves in you. And you're up here asking the questions and letting them know why you're not. You're helping as well, Kwani. I believe that what you're saying is helping. It's helping because a lot more people are going to come out.
Right now, I'm conflicted. I want my vote to matter for not my family, but for others that are Black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And Kwani,
and every time I got in line and voted, it didn't work.
Well, let me say.
Okay, no problem.
Let me say this, like, Kwani, I came from, I came from the conscious community, and this happened last election too, and I was like livid, where they were telling people not to vote. And let me tell you something, like, a clock is right twice a day. What I mean by that is, like, just like when earlier when we were speaking about, well, Black people used to be Republicans. That's half truth. That's a half truth, because they're not telling people that that it's the same party, just a different name. That we just switched names. So a lot I know about like a lot of the stuff that people are talking, just like the presidents are selected, and not elected. I know exactly where all that came from, because I went through that. But I did my own research, and like, one of the things that I learned about that community, well, first and foremost, sometimes we have to realize that, like, whenever we start any type of progressive movement for us as people, a lot of times it gets infiltrated.
And,
You know, like,
okay,
and people,
and maybe that's my issue as well. It's too many folds in this stuff. It's too many folds. It's too many folds. Okay, well, go ahead. It's too many folds. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and some people are paid to distract us or paid to mislead us, and that's been happening a lot. You know, a lot. I mean, it's been happening for a long time and a lot, and we don't realize it because, you know, we just listen to just like.
Let me stop here. Including the Black Lives Matter movement.
Right. Exactly. I know. Yep. Exactly. And, you know, a lot of people don't, you know, like, a lot of people don't even know that it's a part of a plan, and it's a part, because, you know, they were hiring people to go out and protest.
Correct. But they pay them to protest. I know.
And something that Crystal said earlier, she was like, I can't believe these churches. And I wanted to make that point and I forgot. So I'm glad we're back on this. Churches are 501c organizations governed by the government. So, you know, and a lot,
501c,
you know, so
that slipped my mind.
Yeah, so they're paid, you know, they're sort of like, they're
no taxes whatsoever. No.
Right.
Right. And so, you know, they're also like, you know, and then, you know, like favors and handouts. So they're like sort of, you know, controlled by the government as well.
Yes. Yes, you're absolutely right. I'm glad you brought that back up. You're right.
A lot of organizations. And that's another thing that we're going to have to learn how to start paying attention to. Because if I could tell y'all some stuff about a lot of people right now, people are going to get like, I ain't gonna do it, but people would get mad at me about some of the people that like we honor and look up to as leaders and stuff that, you know, have like really sold us out.
Yes, same here. It is a shame. It's a shame to hold secrets for others, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you know, like, some people are out for their coin, just like on here. You know, it's like, you know, and I'm just using it as an example. It's like, you know, some people are more interested in padding their pockets than looking at, like, you know, the long term and us as a and, you know, and the progress
for revolution. For revolution.
Right.
I get it.
And I'm glad that Joe said looting is not protesting, it's lawlessness. That had nothing to do with the cause. Absolutely nothing.
Yes,
all
but
that looting and
you're right. You're right about that. They're angry and they're living in areas they can't grow.
Right. Right. And that's sad. But what about the person that goes to fill their prescription and you just done bust up the drugstore?
They don't. They don't see it. You're asking a baby to think as your. If you're a mother, are you asking your child to think when they're grown? Are you asking as a parent? Are you asking your baby to say, you know, one day you will grow up? When it's really not a possibility, it could grow up. Nothing is possible.
I have a grandson. I have a grandson who
I hear what you're saying. You were saying, I heard what you say. I hear what a lot of people say. You turn up your own neighborhoods. Your own neighborhoods. They live in a They live in a neighborhood. It's a hood. They should live in a community. There's no community. What is their community?
And they're going to starve those areas out. They're going to starve those areas out because they're urban cities. So it's not like they, you know, where they can grow, you know, their own, you know, food and vegetables and stuff like that. Right. But it's not like, you know, they're, if they're not already doing it, then, you know, like, you know, it's, you know, they're in trouble. But they're going to starve those areas out because when you look at, like, you know, like even for the time being until, you know, you start your own business or you find, you know, your own way of economics, you know, you have to go to work. So, you know, they're not going to be any jobs like in those like areas that are torn up. And notice that they're all black cities like Chicago. And then ask yourself, why were they in Atlanta tearing up Atlanta? The new black, you know, really Atlanta is almost considered like the new Black Wall Street. You know, why were they
Yep.
down there?
It's true.
And why didn't they go to Kentucky for Breonna
True.
and tear that up?
This is
And
true.
then you got to look at how many businesses down there that are actually owned by Black people.
Mhm.
Facts like QI. I mean not QI. Ti. Ti owns half of Southwest Atlanta where he's from. You know, and then the other guy, Killer Mike, he owns a great bit of Atlanta. So Atlanta is like like it's Black people have a lot of control and ownership in Atlanta, and
In
that's what
Atlanta,
they were
yeah, that's
aimed at.
true. Okay, so the city, I'm talking about cities like Chicago, even in St. Louis, you
Okay,
know.
I'm in St. Louis.
And how many Black businesses do you
Mike
have
Brown,
in the
when
neighborhood?
Mike Brown was murdered, and they did what they did. Really now? I mean, everybody's so in an uproar over that. Do you not understand what they burned? Let me tell you this.
Kwani, I understand what you're saying, but you're not listening to my question.
Okay,
How
go
many
ahead.
actual Black people that you know own businesses in your neighborhood? Where you
I
shop in
own
your
property.
neighborhood?
Well, let me tell you this. Where I own property, none. Not even Caucasians though. Not even Caucasians.
You don't have any stores or nothing around in your neighborhood.
Not even Caucasians own what all that demographic is. No.
Okay,
No.
hold on one
Okay.
second. Ms. Toby, you want to interject?
Hi, Toby.
Hi, how are you? Let me just say this. We're never going to ever have a perfect candidate. No one is going to be a perfect person to be voted for president.
Mhm.
But after I saw this debate tonight, I was disgusted
Mm.
with 45. It's very important for us to vote. Since I was a little girl, I couldn't wait to vote because I understand what sacrifices my ancestors had to go
Thank
through
God
for us to
for
vote.
you.
So also, if you don't vote, I feel like you have no reason to complain about anything.
Mm.
You need to voice your opinion. You need to go out and vote. It's very important. I come
Mhm.
from a city where people probably would say, "Well, why would you want to vote anyway?" I'm from Baltimore. I've seen the devastation that happened with the riot 5 years ago. I saw everything that happened in my neighborhood. But I believe that it's very important for me to go out there and voice my opinion. So I would say to anybody, please just do your research. This is
Yes.
like one of the most important elections out there. I mean, every day when I watch the news, I'm disgusted with this man. I cannot believe that we as a nation voted this person into office. I'm ashamed to say at times that I am an American.
Other countries are laughing at us.
They are laughing at us. We are the laughing stock of the nation, of the world. And it's an embarrassment.
So Miss Toby,
Yeah.
how do you feel about myself and I won't vote?
I'm gonna tell you straight up, Kwani, I'm disgusted that you won't even think about voting.
Okay.
I am. And that's
Okay.
and you come across as a sister that is very intelligent. I mean,
Oh,
sometimes I don't agree with everything that you say,
right,
but you're
Yes.
very intelligent.
right.
But
And
what if you find
and
in the
me
end
seeing the
working
piece that
together?
you
What if
and
you
me
find that they're working together? Then what?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
If you found out in the end they're working together and your family or wherever your nucleus haven't made any progression, how would you feel then?
Ask you a question. Why do you think they may be working together?
Well, I said,
I mean,
I read books. It's
sometimes
a lineage. I read
sometimes
books.
okay. I read books too. I'm highly educated, honey. I graduated from a historically black college with a
I get it.
political science. So
Mm-hmm.
I understand that.
I get it, but also we've been you do understand by reading these books, we're also being lied to as well, right? Including myself.
But we also can't stand in the middle of the street with traffic. You're gonna move to the left or to the right.
Correct, but I'm asking.
Mm-hmm.
So she wants me. So is she asking me to vote for Biden?
Mm-hmm.
Miss Toby, are you asking me to vote for Biden?
I'm asking you to. Well, I can't tell you who to vote for.
JB, you have to say JB.
For JB, okay. Miss Toby, are you asking me to vote for JB?
I cannot ask you who to vote for. That's your choice. But my thing is, are you going to vote in a local elections if you're not going to vote against 45?
I vote will mean something to me. When it's making an improvement for where I live. When it's making an improvement for where I live, when me and my family live, and I'm gaining, when I'm prospering, that's where I vote.
Okay, so
please, I'm asked. Oh, come on, Miss Toby. While I'm adding asset to my family, I vote.
Okay.
When I'm going into liability, I don't.
Okay, but can I ask you a question? If you're not going to vote for 45 or JP, are you going to vote in the local elections?
I vote in my local elections if it means for me to go on or something. If it means for me, my family, and my community. That's why I asked that question. Y'all keep talking about community. What does community mean to you? Of course, my family is my family. What does community mean to you? I vote for my family first, then my community, then outside of my community.
Oh.
That's quantity.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can give.
Well, then I have to, if that's your choice, that's your choice. But I just, just research it or just think about it.
I will.
Well,
okay, and I will learn the lineage of each candidate. I will learn what they offered. My tribe.
Okay, and then just research whoever is, running for elections in your local elections now.
Okay. And that's why I said to you all, I enjoy you teaching me something. I come on YouTube to learn something.
Okay, Ms. Kwani. Well, thank you so much, Sir King, for your time, and thank you, panel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Toby.
Yes, thank you.
Good night.
All right, everyone. I hate to bring this great discussion to a close, but it is getting late. So I would like to bring this to a close by everyone just giving a brief summary of what they want to end with or closing points, and then we'll go from there. All right. Anybody want to volunteer first?
Ladies first with me always. You know that, Sir King.
I have no problem. What I'm thinking about is I have a grandson that's 15 years old, and he has Asperger's. He has a problem with social skills and talking and speaking to people, but he's a straight A student. I want my vote to count for him. Other children like him. The 45 made fun of people who are different and handicapped, misogynistic ways, unwilling to bend. JB, I don't believe that he's unwilling to bend. I believe that's someone that we can work with, that has more of a sound mind and an understanding of government than 45. I hope and I pray that everyone votes. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. King. Thank you so much, and I appreciate the information that you shared. And I welcome you to come back again. To share some more.
Oh, thank you so much.
Sure.
I'm sorry, Sir King. It says the beginning of October 1st, 2020, talking about Pennsylvania, that you'll need a real ID for the domestic flights, military base, federal facilities that require federally acceptable identification by October 1st. Yeah, we got to try to hit that goal. Thank you.
Cool. Definitely.
I'll go next.
Okay.
First, I would like to say thank you so much, Sir King. This was not like this. It couldn't have been a better timing, and it was perfect for allowing us to, have this conversation. Because, I mean, like I've never you've actually had like 200 some people in the chat, so like we've reached, or we've been able to, give information to a lot of people. So, I think you deserve a pat on the back for that.
Sure.
As well, I like to say that, the first thing we need to do is get through this election. So we need to do the census. Like the census is very important for the electoral college votes, as well as, go ahead and get registered and make sure you vote. And then make sure that we're voting when the local elections come up as well, because those are the people who really play a part in where we live and, like the things that we need, for our, towns, cities, and states. Last, but not least, like after we get through the voting process, then we can start working on, like we should all start looking at working on ways to, educate each other about like different economic paths that we could take, like, growing vegetables, like learning about energy, teaching each other things that we know about energy, and getting back to the natural resources and stuff, so that like we can own again shea butter, own again a lot of the like the straightening comb, because we invented a lot of the stuff, the things that are in the world, so we can own our own nail and our hair salon, what is that, the weave. I didn't want to say that in a negative way, but we can sell and own our own weave. We spend way too much money, which means that our money is not staying within our community and going out. Like we need to, like try to find more ways to keep the money rotating within our communities, like other tribal, people do. So I like to once again thank Sir King, thank the chat for listening, and I enjoyed it, and thank everyone that was on the panel. I greatly enjoyed tonight.
All right,
or
sis.
this morning.
So thank you, QI and Kwani.
I just want to say thank you for having me here. I'm tired. This type of energy.
Don't cry on me,
This
Kwani.
type of energy here.
Baby, don't you cry on us.
I'm not crying. This type of energy is needed. We need this. We need this camaraderie. We need this combativeness to get where we need to be. We do. Thank you for having me. It much love to you all. I've learned a lot. That means I have to do a lot more work. Much work. Much work is needed to be done. Thank you.
You're welcome, Kwani. I agree. Thank you for
love you all. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love you too. You know I love you, darling.
No flirting.
I'm not flirting. See you. Okay, Sir King, it was a wonderful, wonderful chat. It wasn't too dramatic and it wasn't too crazy, as we say. We learned a lot, and the people that were in the chat, I see over 200 people in the chat, and if they were really listening and paying attention, we as Black people need to get together as one unit and start getting things that have been lost to us for such a long, long time. Even me at 70 years old, I'm still looking for equality. I'm still looking for a place where I could go and borrow money without having to have so much of a collateral that it's impossible. When I do get it, it's impossible to pay back. And like you said, we need to get out and register to vote. It only takes a minute. While I was so quiet on here, I was on my computer. I was going to take a screenshot of it. I went and registered to vote tonight. So it's not that hard, people. It's not that hard. And the lesser of two evils.
How long did the process take you, William?
It didn't take 10 minutes, really. It didn't take 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And the less far is lesser of two evils. I would rather have a man in office that will bend and listen
Yeah.
instead of
Yes.
someone that's stuck in his ways and is
Mm-hmm.
always going to tell you, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, because he wants to be a dictator. Like that one lady said, he wants to be a dictator.
Yeah.
He wants
Yes.
to turn this into a modern day Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So people, we need to wake up. And
I agree.
if we have more beefing about politics in the beef section, we might come together as a unit and let's defeat 45. Let's defeat his butt November. And like I said, Sir King, you are the best. You are the best. And congratulations on your
I'm just
year.
okay.
Thank you, Sir King. Good night.
You're welcome. Thank you, Crystal King, for the information, and thank you,
Good
William.
night. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. This has been a long night. We didn't expect it to go this way, but it went this way for a reason. So I hope everybody goes and registers to vote. Your choice is your choice. I can't make you or persuade you anyway that you want to vote, but make sure you do vote. I hope you guys. I know we do the drama over here and the beefing, but after you saw what happened today on, you could say not national television, but worldwide television, I think whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, that was atrocious. And people who are American or whatever your nationality is, you should be embarrassed for how our leadership acted today. But we had a great discussion today. And thank you to everybody that came through. I'm not going to name anybody because I don't want to accidentally leave anybody off. So I appreciate everyone's contribution. And hopefully, like, we do need to do something because the world is changing and I don't want us to be left behind. So everybody make sure if you came in late, check out the video in its entirety. There were a lot of great points made. And we did it so in a respectful way. And that's what I was really proud of, is that everybody had a difference in opinion, but everybody respected each other enough to convey it, reflect, and then make suggestions. We weren't cursing each other out. We know politics is a very volatile issue. They always say don't express politics with your friends or family or even in the workplace because it's so volatile. But I was glad to see that people were able to have a great conversation, but also be respectful of one another and make great suggestions on how to live their life and why they should vote and why they feel they shouldn't vote. So thank you all for having a mature, productive, intelligent, and conscious discussion in this area of YouTube. We rarely see that without having to mute people. And I didn't have to mute anybody. So I'm so proud of that moment. Even the Queen of Ming Kwani was able to express herself in a respectful way. All right, so thank you so much. Make sure you register to vote. I even demonstrated how to check if you're registered to vote and how to do it. So please make sure you take advantage of that knowledge. All right, y'all. Maybe we'll do a part 2 sometime soon. I know Kamala is going to take on Pence, I think on October 7th. So maybe we'll do another one of those. All right. Thank you, everybody. Please make sure you thumbs up the video on your exit. And if you're not subscribed, please do so. If you want to contribute to the Avatar Nation Insomnia Fund, feel free to $ Avatar Nation. All right. Thank you guys, everybody. I'll just go through your comments before we close. Thank you, Bria Johnson. I never see anything as horrifically embarrassing of a debate as I witnessed tonight, historically or otherwise. I agree. We all agree. Miss Lady Lowe says this live is what makes your channel special. Thank you. William Carruthers Karuther says, to all the people in the chat, love you guys and agree to disagree. I agree. Miss Toby says this live was much needed. I agree. Good night, Ron P. Oops, sorry about that. Sorry about that. I accidentally booted myself. All right. So thank you everybody for y'all support. Have a great night. Take care. Make it a great day. I'll see you soon. Take care, everybody. And thank you to all my moderators, Lemon 99. So tired. Lemon 99, Robbie, Gemini, Make a Baby. And I know I'm forgetting somebody. So I forget the person I forgot. I know you got 6 of y'all. So I do apologize for that one moderator that I missed. 99 Lemon, Robbie, Gemini 75, Make a Baby, and Blogspot. So thank you all. Thank you, everybody. And have a good day. Take care. And make sure you register to vote. Take care. Bye. See you soon. Toodles.